So thanks so much. Today's session is recorded, as you just heard, so it will be made available online if you'd like to take another look, or if you have any colleagues that aren't able to make it today and would like to be able to watch it later. Next slide. So this session today is presented by myself. I serve as the long-range planning manager in the Department of City Development. Monica Walk-Smith, who is a senior planner here in the planning division and will serve as the project manager for this project. And Scott Stange, who is our procurement and compliance manager at the Department of City Development. So this is a plan that we will be creating together. And so just wanted to spend a little time talking about why we plan, and that is to guide future land use and development decisions, establish priorities for our infrastructure, public spaces, economic development, sustainability and equity. And last but most importantly, engage residents and stakeholders in creating a vision for their neighborhoods. Here's the agenda and format for today's session. We'll go through an overview of the request for qualifications requirements. We will do a Q&A at the end. You're welcome to enter any questions you have in the chat. They will be answered all in the end or in the addendum. Again, the session is recorded and it'll be made available online. Any questions that you have during this process should be directed to Scott Stange. His email is sstang@milwaukee.gov. And all questions received during this meeting or that are emailed by 4:45 on April 22nd will be answered in the addendum that will be posted on the city's RFP page on April 24th. And with that, I'll turn things over to Scott.
Thank you, Tanya. Good morning. My name is Scott Stange, and I work at DCD as the Procurement and Compliance Manager. The slide that is on the screen right now is just a brief summary of some of the important dates that are referenced in the RFQ. The info session is today, obviously. We're recording this, and this will be posted on the DCD website that the RFQ has been posted on. So it will be available shortly after the meeting is done. We do have an opportunity outside of this meeting to answer questions that may come up. So you're welcome to email those to me. We do have a deadline for those questions, which is April 22nd, the end of the business day on April 22nd. We would then post an addendum on, again, the same page where the RFQ and the link to this recorded meeting will be posted. We'll put an addendum with any questions and answers that may come in, or any other clarifications or adjustments that might be needed in the RFQ. So we readily encourage you to come back to the website after April 24th to just double check to see if there is an addendum that was posted. And then finally, the qualifications packages are due on May 1st. That would be 11 a.m. on May 1st, Central Time. And the qualifications packages need to be emailed. And the email address that would be listed in the RFQ is dcdpurchasing@milwaukee.gov. Please, when you're submitting your submittal, please note that the submittal must be received by Department of City Development by 11 a.m. So keep that in mind when you're planning on putting your email together and adding whatever attachments are necessary, that you give yourself enough time before 11 o'clock so that it can travel through the ethers and get to us by 11 a.m. If it's received by us by 11:01, then it's too late and will not be considered. And then finally, the max size of an email would be 50 megabytes. So you make sure that your email doesn't go over that. If for some reason you need more than 50 megs, then you can put it into 2 separate emails. Just do something within the email to link us to let us know that, you know, email 1 of 2 or 2 of 2, something to that effect. So those are the important dates and the information about the submittal. Next slide, please. And then just touching upon a couple contracting requirements in the RFQ itself. So the RFQ talks about a small business enterprise participation goal of 18%. This means that in your response, you're to include how you would provide for a meaningful participation of a city certified SBE contractor. In the RFQ, there's a link to the city's SBE website or web page that you can access, and you can search for different firms that are currently certified. And you can go to that website to make sure that their certification is current, because they will need to have current certification at the time of submittal. And then all of that gets transposed into the SBE Form A, which is part of the RFQ document. And then that, just make sure that that document is submitted along with your qualification package. That is a submittal requirement. So that's it for the contract requirements. I'm going to hand this back to Monica and Tanya. Thank you.
Hello. Just, to provide a little background information of, the purpose of the study and what we're looking for. This planning effort will be updating the 2009 plan. So as part of this, we want to affirm what is still relevant. In the plan that was done in 2009, there's still some good policies in there that we want to build on, but we also want to understand what the current market trends are and to understand those opportunities. Another key part of this planning effort will be to explore key redevelopment sites, or also sometimes what we call catalytic sites in our comprehensive plans. And the end result, just in the big picture, is to have a user-friendly plan that will guide implementation for the next 10 plus years. The planning area, as you can see on the screen, it's a very large area. It's one of 14 area plans that make up the City of Milwaukee's comprehensive plan. It encompasses 5 different aldermanic districts, 2, 5, 7, 10, and 15. And we have some new representatives as of last week. So this is another exciting opportunity to chart the future with new elected officials. There are many different commercial districts, major sites, neighborhoods, just to name a few. This is hardly a conclusive list, but there's Uptown Crossing, the Center Street bid, Midtown Center is definitely a key site within this area. Blue Mound Road has new transit with the Connect One, Bus Rapid Transit, Capitol Drive. And then in terms of neighborhoods, again, many different neighborhoods with a wide range of issues and opportunities that will be addressed in this plan. Public engagement, it's an important aspect of all of our comprehensive plans. We have public participation procedures for comprehensive planning that's been adopted by our council, and we're committed to finding meaningful opportunities for input at every step of the process and meeting and really exceeding our procedures that we have in place. We'll be developing a more formal public engagement plan, but to give you an idea of what to expect in one of our, in our planning effort, we'll have 3 community-wide meetings, smaller stakeholder meetings. Tanya and I have already started some of those stakeholder meetings. There'll be design charrettes, and this is where we see the consultant really helping to lead. And then in addition to those meetings, there'll be advisory committees, neighborhood events, and online engagement. DCD will be leading most of the public engagement. The consultant will lead a couple design charrettes and ideally be able to attend the second and third community meetings. But it is a DCD-led plan and the engagement. In terms of the schedule, we anticipate roughly an 18-month schedule. We anticipate kicking off the plan with community meeting number 1 in early summer, and then using the summer to attend neighborhood events and continuing to gather input. Concurrently, or as soon as we finalize a contract, we expect to commence the market analysis. And then next, we'll also be focusing on developing a design workshop in advance of the second community meeting, and then again after the second community meeting. There will be another public meeting to present draft recommendations and design concepts. And then we anticipate wrapping the study up in 2025. As I mentioned, this is city-led. Our role is the project management, leading the majority of the outreach and engagement, hosting the 3 community meetings, completing all of the comprehensive elements that are not covered by the consultant. So, transportation, open space and parks, etc. Everything that makes up a comprehensive plan. City will also be responsible for interdepartmental and intergovernmental cooperation, coordinating with the community organizations that we often partner with, creating the plan document and the project website. In terms of the consultant role, we have kind of two buckets of services that we're looking for. One is the commercial market analysis. This is the text here you see is from the RFQ that was posted. So I won't read every bullet point, but essentially for the commercial market analysis, the 2009 plan identified a lot of revitalization efforts within the many commercial corridors that exist. And I think one of the goals with this study is to really look at determining which corridors and nodes are most viable for different types of commercial activity. Also identifying alternate uses where retail might no longer be viable. A lot has changed since 2009 between COVID, online shopping, etc. There'll also be, identifying those priority areas for commercial development based on that analysis. I will also highlight the second to last bullet point about the Midtown Shopping Center and taking a look at, what the market potential there is and for what types of uses and how that pertains to land use planning. The other bucket of services that we're looking at is urban design and engagement. And this is to serve as technical support for city staff related to land use and design of key sites and corridors within the West Side area planning area. So helping to prepare diagrams to illustrate major concepts, massing, growth scenarios, conceptual designs, and renderings to communicate with the public will be a key aspect of that. And doing the engagement that pertains to those key sites. So preparing meeting exhibits, doing stakeholder interviews, pertaining to those key corridors and sites, hosting a couple design charrettes, and then attending meetings 2 and 3 to be present at those to get feedback. We have not, in terms of what those key sites and corridors will be, I've mentioned a few of them like Midtown, some of those corridors like Blue Mound Road. I think we can finalize those in the contract negotiation process. Here's the evaluation criteria. Again, I'm not going to go through all of these. This is this is available online in the RFQ, but happy to answer any questions about those. So that is the end of the presentation. If you have any questions, feel free to raise your hand. I'm looking in the chat. So either put your questions in the chat or raise your hand, and we will hopefully answer some of them, or we will include them in the addendum.
This is Craig Hebner from Grafe. If I can be so bold to be the first person to ask. Thanks, Monica and Tanya, and Scott. I'm excited about this potential. I think a growing trend that we've seen in the city of Milwaukee is a big emphasis on bike and pedestrian safety. And obviously there's a lot of major corridors. As part of this, do you see, I guess, with these catalytic sites, obviously including, developable land, but the actual corridors themselves being more of the urban design, potential for road diets, complete street type visualizations, or are we primarily focused a little bit more on kind of more private development type catalytic projects?
I think it's going to be a combination. I think there are definitely some key, private development sites, as you mentioned, that we'll want to look at. I think there are also some opportunities where we might want to look at a corridor a little more holistically, both in terms of future land use and maybe streetscaping that will support that, if that helps answer the question. But yes, you are right, and we will that complete streets and safer streets and Vision Zero is certainly has a push of the city, and we are working closely with our multimodal department to help support those efforts. Let me know if that answered your question or if that was.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Jennifer Settle with Opticos Design. I was curious if you could speak a little bit more to the 2 design charrettes. In terms of, I think the RFP says between the 1 and 3 community meeting, but do you see those as a way to reach sort of 2 different geographic areas within the different neighborhoods, or as 2 charrettes that build on each other, right? So there might be a more upfront one and then another feedback one later. I was just trying to see if it's since there's multiple neighborhoods involved of how if you have sort of thoughts on how those 2 design charrettes work together, would be helpful.
Yeah, that's a good question. And I appreciate your observation that it is a large geographic area. I think some of the details could be ironed out during contract negotiation to brainstorm on the best way to approach it. But we had been thinking about the 2 design charrettes building on each other, making progress from the first design charrette, getting public feedback at the second community meeting, and then building off of that further as we start to finalize recommendations.
Perfect, thank you. And I figured we could work within that, but I wanted to make sure if you had goals for that, that's helpful. Thanks.
I can ask another question if I'm not hogging. So Monica and Tanya, what keeps you up at night with the West Side, and what's maybe what you think one of the bigger challenges is, and then maybe just what you think biggest opportunity from your perspective, and they may be the same.
Okay, what keeps us up at night? I'm a West Side resident, so I think it's a great area in many ways. There's a lot of stability and continuity that we've seen since 2009. I do think, like, in terms of more this planning process, just there are many different neighborhoods, and just there, and we've done initial stakeholder interviews, and I think we'll get different feedback from different areas and different neighborhoods, and just trying to balance all of that. Yeah, and I think also, just as we alluded to, there's a lot of commercial corridors, what we've traditionally called commercial corridors, and I think that's probably shifting, and just how that's going to what the future looks like, I think is something we'll want to tease out, especially with all our stakeholders. I don't know, Tanya, what keeps you up at night regarding the West Side?
Well, I think for me, it's kind of bigger picture, the future of comprehensive planning in the city. And this plan is really important because we've been kind of trying and experimenting with some things in recent plans throughout the city. And this one, we are kind of trying to see what we can do to make the timeline a little more efficient. However, as you see, it's a large geography, and we want to, we certainly don't want to discount our engagement process by any means. So, I think we are really looking forward to finding a team that will be really innovative with us in trying some new things and making this process really dynamic and getting to the bottom of it. As Monica alluded to, there's a lot of corridors in this area, and I think part of it too is managing all of our expectations about the future of those and finding a way for all of these areas throughout the city to move forward, knowing that commercial isn't always what it once was, and what, people kind of romanticize about. But certainly we want to find innovation within those corridors too. So that's the market study, I think, to really keep us focused. So really looking forward to that.
Well, hopefully you can get some sleep tonight. Hopefully I didn't stir up too many nightmares. No, sounds great. Thank you.
Feeling better already. Thank you. Any other questions? I think one additional thing that we would like to note is that we do prefer that fall packages be teamed. There is some language about it being an or, and just kind of for streamlined process, we do highly encourage that everyone submit as part of a team if at all possible. So, certainly taking the opportunity to if you are still working on teaming, seeing who's in the room today, and continuing to kind of work towards that, I think would be most beneficial. Any other questions? Okay, well, any additional questions you think of, certainly email Scott at sstang@milwaukee.gov. All right, well, thanks again for all of your interest. If you don't have any other questions, feel free to take off, but if you do have any others, feel free to linger. All right, thanks again, everyone. Have a great day.